Hey, it's another week. Donovan Sadiq Show. Welcome. Well, it's been a very busy week for me. As you guys know, last Thursday, the Press Enterprise broke a story on Moreno Valley School Board member Evan Moron, and a lot of feedback has been given on that. It's very disturbing. It's nothing unusual, and instead of having some contrition or some, feeling bad, Mr. Moron immediately goes on the attack. Now, people have to remember, I wasn't the source material for the story. A lot of it was, highlighted by me in regard to that. But the immaturity of Mr. Morgan is the fact that, he goes into his fake profiles and then he, starts attacking me and challenging me on my thing. Well, Mr. Moron, you're the public official. You're the one that has to, answer to us, the voters. So to challenge me is totally ridiculous. I ran in office twice. I was vetted twice. And people that know me, everything that I say, I mean. And if you know anything about me, I am what I am. And as simple as that. People say I'm not from Moreno Valley. I'm a resident for 40 years. Yeah, there's a lot of technicality in that, but I'm a resident for 40 years. I've never changed my residency. I live in Edgemont. That's a fact. Some people say it's not Edgemont. Well, if there's no Moreno Valley, what else would you call it? A lot of things. It's not unusual for a military person to have several degrees. That's not unusual, especially in the time that I grew up. So, no, Mr. Morgan, I don't have 10 degrees. You're absolutely right. I don't have 10 degrees. I have 11 in different subjects. And those people who've been to my home and those people that know me know that this is true. There's nothing unusual about that. So, let's see. I was in the Air Force. You got CCF. Everybody that's in the Air Force knows Community College of the Air Force. If you're an enlisted person, you can get your Community College of the Air Force degree. I've got 2 of them. So there you go. I'm an RCC graduate. That's 3. I'm a San Bernardino Valley graduate. That's 4. I just named 4 degrees that you can verify in the local area right now. So what's the problem? So is it feasible that I have 11 degrees? Yes. I got a bachelor's degree from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, a bachelor's and an associate. There's 6 degrees right there. I'm also a graduate of San Diego Miramar College, private pilot studies. 7 degrees right there. Also took the military program at Vincennes University at North Island Naval Air Station. Degree in general science. That's 8 degrees right there. Went to my last degree in 2013, Coastline Community College through the military program. Got a degree in behavioral science and American studies. That's 10 degrees right there. RCC, 2 degrees there. So there you have it. That's 11 degrees. Add it up. I know, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Moron, you weren't really good at school, but this goes to show you that this person I can see why he was put out of the military. It wasn't because he was injured of his foot. I mean, I'm sure that was a component of it. But this person has a mental maturity level that is unbelievable, because if you read the article, he goes down to the courthouse as the story breaks that day to set up a payment plan. This man is not a credible person. And then he gets on Facebook and using fake profiles and starts attacking his detractors. Makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. And if you've gone to Moreno Valley Politics Matters on Facebook, even Roy Bleckert had to put a stop to it, because own your words. If you're going to say what you're going to say, man up and own your words, Mr. Moron. So there's a school board meeting tonight, and I will be there and a few other people will be there, and we're going to make a few statements. And all I'm basically going to say is the same thing that he told LaDonna Jimson. He needs to step down because, there's no point, if this stuff was known before he ran, he probably wouldn't be on the seat. Just step down and do it again. I'm just going to say, isn't it funny? Isn't it, wouldn't it be hypocritical that you don't step down? But he probably won't. So a lot of stuff that's been going on. And, I was doing the Pastor Don show, the weekly devotional. And, me and Pastor Don talk a lot. And he says, well, there are some people saying, why do you associate with a guy like Donovan Sadiq that uses the words that he uses and things that he does? And, Pastor Don gave me some, rich encouragement. Now, when I'm with Pastor Don, I try to clean up my act a little bit, and I try to, keep the profanity down. And I don't really like to use a lot of profanity, even on my radio show, but I use certain profanity, what people would say profanity words to emphasize what I'm saying. Things that you can hear on TV every day, like the words bitch, ass, so on, so on, so forth. Different people have different tolerances of different things. And, I'm not saying those words are acceptable to me, but if I hear it on TV, it doesn't bother me as much. But I know it bothers some people, and I apologize if it does. And, but it's basically to get the message out. And people say, well, you call people names, whatever. Well, I've been called names too, so you got to get over that. And I've been called some really bad ones. So, the N word isn't a favorite of mine, but I get called that a lot out here. So when I call Mr. Moron, the reason I'm calling him that is because only a moron would do the things that Mr. Moron does. Only a moron would videotape themselves doing a crime. Only a moron would videotape themselves as a grown man playing with dolls, simulating rape. Only a moron would rack up tickets and not pay them as if it doesn't matter. Only a moron will not apologize for what he does and have some contrition. And only a moron will run for office knowing that he has these things that may come back to haunt him later on. I've said before, I ran twice. And when I ran, I made sure that, nothing would come up. And when I say that, it's not that I have anything to hide. What I'm saying is this. I never had a public civilian life. I joined the military at 17 years old. And don't sit here and think that I'm an angel. I've never said I was an angel. I've never said that. I've done a lot of things, but unfortunately, the laws lock down our military discipline records. And what I did, again, I completed a military career, so it wasn't nothing that where they're going to kick me out and like that. At 17 years old, I'm a little immature. I did a few things that maybe I shouldn't have done, and I was corrected, and we moved on with life. But it's nothing of a major concern. Went on to serve my country and did a great thing. But I never had a civilian life, so that is why when my enemies that were running against me were trying to find things on me, they couldn't find things on me because there's nothing out there. So I was always disciplined by the military, so that those records will always be sealed and you'll never see them and whatever with that. But I just wanted to bring on that, I talked to Pastor Don and I got some really, really good counsel about what we need to do and how we need to do it. And he said, what it is, people, you got to realize Mr. Moron, I can't even vote for him. He's in a different area. I'm on the west side of the city. I live in Edgemont. He lives on the west side of the city in an apartment as a Highland Fairview employee, that's being put up by my good buddy Ido Benvizi. So he's being supported by that. Because before that, he was living with his mommy. So there we have that. So I don't really have any skin in the game when it comes to what is going on in the school. I don't even have any children in the school district. I myself have never attended the school district. I went to private school when I was a little kid and I lived out here. So I have no skin in the game. My job is to put the facts out there and let you guys decide for yourselves. I can care less if you want to do something about it. If you're going to do something about it, I think you should. My only concern is we're not that far removed from Mike Rios. Now, this person is displaying to me as a parent signs of a problem of Mike Rios. Now, here's what a lot of people don't know. I went to the school board in early January and met with Cleveland Johnson and a few of the school board staff and told them about this problem so that they could get ahead of it. Now, why they did nothing about it is beyond me, but I told them this could be a potential problem, not for Mr. Moron, but for the school board. They need to put out something and separate themselves from that because we are not that far removed from Mike Rios. And for those of you that don't know who Mike Rios is, he is a man that is in prison right now that was on our school board, and he was convicted of pimping and pandering 15-year-old teenage girls. Now, as a 46-year-old man, about to be 47, and somewhat responsible man, adult, don't you think if I had information, or anybody of that matter had information that could help protect our children and they don't divulge that they should? Again, I don't have any kids in the school district, so why should I care? I have a responsibility to put that information out there. And here's the amazing thing to me. The information is out there, and people yet defend this man who admitted that everything that was put out there was true. Everything that was put out there was true. So the problem lies with me, MV Gordy, all these other pages that are out there, Sustained Development, Wake Up Moval. We're the problems? No, if anything, we're the gatekeepers. We're telling you this is what you need to know. This is your information. Do with it what you will. He admitted to everything that was alleged. And then he goes into victim mode. And you have some people, very young people, of course. Oh, what's the big deal? What happened a few years ago? Well, the last post that he put up was in 2016. Then, being the scoundrel and the squirrel and skunk that he is, he goes and hides behind fake profiles and tries to put out a different narrative to keep you from talking about him. Because, he's James Bond, secret agent, 10 months in the military, which is, I guess I would say, 12 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks in boot camp, basic boot camp, which is about 2 to 3 months. Then he goes to A school, but he has counterintelligence, guerrilla warfare, all kinds of James Bondish type training. And we put that out to show you that this guy is full of shit. On his LinkedIn thing, we showed you the resume where he had all that listed. Then the minute that we put that out, he scrubs it and then puts out just a very blanketed resume. We do that to keep you informed. That's why we're called the Inland Empire Informer. Let's put this together, people. So, people ask me, maybe I shouldn't care, but I do. I have a problem with these child molesters, and unfortunately, I do. And even in prisons, they have problems with child molesters. And if you're a responsible adult out there, you should be a vanguard of anybody's children, because these are just children, and we have a responsibility to look out for them if they're ours or not. And where I live, we have some children in new communities, and young families that are coming in. And I make sure that My neighbors, I know, who their kids are and what they're doing. And if they're out there playing and I see something that I don't like, or they might be heading into trouble, I'm going to say something. That's how it used to be. You used to know your neighbors. But I'm sick and tired of these possible pedophiles. I don't know what Mr. Morgan's situation is. But let me tell you, a grown man doesn't play with dolls unless he's playing with his daughter. And if he's playing with his daughter, he's not simulating forcible rape. Who doesn't have a problem with that? And that's where we're at. And that's what people got to understand. When we put stuff out, this isn't about Donovan Sadiq. It isn't about me. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm doing great. This isn't about me. This is about you and your children and what you're doing and your leaders that you're electing and what they've got in their backgrounds. Highland Fairview is on the march. They are putting their employees in positions to make decisions that are detrimental to you. And we're telling you this. Why isn't anybody listening? And the funny thing is, I really like the fact that people say, I don't listen to Donovan's show. I don't listen to that. I don't listen to that crap. But yet, everybody knows what's going on, and they always quote my show. And then the Press Enterprise quoted my show. So what does that tell you? I know people are listening and they want to listen and they want the information. They want to know what's going on in their community because I keep talking about The Matrix. The Matrix, The Matrix, The Matrix. Go watch the movie. The Matrix is talking about what is going on in every city in the United States. You guys are so busy trying to raise your children and trying to live a life and eke out an existence that you do not even have time to pay attention to who is making decisions for your school board. You have a man on the school board who is irresponsible, a total moron, a total liar, possible pedophile. Who knows? The guy might need medication. I don't know. Total maniac. And you would not know that information if MV Gordy, Moreno Valley Residents for Sustained Development, Wake Up MoVal, Inland Empire Informer, The Hot Seat wouldn't let you know these things. In the Matrix, you have the blue pill and you have the red pill. Which one are you going to take? Some people don't want to take anything. What if I told you what you see here in Moreno Valley isn't what you're actually seeing? Would you believe me? Some of you know what I'm talking about because Highland Fairview is on the march. Right now, I just found out late last night that they have a candidate that is a former Idiot Gutierrez student that they are backing. And how I know it's a former Highland Fairview employee, number one, Robert Harris is in the picture. And anything that Robert Harris, who is an employee of Highland Fairview, supports is a Highland Fairview product. So we're going to put that name out there. And he's running in District 4. Highland Fairview is trying to take the majority. And I would not doubt that this young person is getting funding from the Highland Fairview super PACs. Also, the late 460 filings, guess who is late in filing and closing out their 460s? Victoria Baca, Evan Moron, Gutierrez, Idiot Gutierrez, and so on, so forth. The same Highland Fairview people. And this is their trick, so it makes it look like they don't spend a lot of money. They haven't received a lot of money. But we're waiting on those delayed 460s. So I just wanted to bring that up tonight at 7 o'clock. Be at the Moreno Valley Unified School District board. Of course, certain people aren't going to be there. Again, you've got these people that say they're in the community, but then you don't see them. You got people like Denise Fleming, LaDonna Jemson, so on, so forth. They've had their, limelight, and then they just disappear. But when information like that is passed to me, I'm definitely going to pass it on to you guys. And hopefully, you guys will be outraged enough and take action. You shouldn't have to wait till it affects you before you do something about it, because eventually it's going to affect you. It's just a matter of time. And you see what's going on here in Moreno Valley. And I was asleep at one time, and now I'm awake, and now I'm trying to wake you guys up. So just stand by. There's going to be more to come with Mr. Moron. You guys have a great week. This has been a short hit, but it's a hit nonetheless. Donovan Sadiq. We'll see you again.